Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some banana muffins with a streusel or a crumble topping on them, and I'm going to add just a little hint of ginger into both the muffins and the topping, just to give that little bit of a hit. I'm not going to put any nuts in mine, but you could add some nuts in your muffins if you wanted to. It's a very simple recipe, as most muffin recipes are, and to start off with I have my oven preheating at 190 Celsius, that's 170 Celsius with a fan, 375 Fahrenheit, and I have put some large muffin cases into my 12-hole muffin tin. So I'll go on to the ingredients, and for the streusel topping I have 65 grams, which is a third of a cup of demerara sugar. That's a sort of a raw cane type sugar. You could use granulated sugar if you wanted to. I have 75 grams, which is half a cup, based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup of plain flour. I have 56 grams, a quarter of a cup of unsalted butter, which I have melted, and I have a quarter of a teaspoon of ground ginger, and I'm going to put the sugar and the flour into a little bowl with the ginger, and I'm just going to give those a mix around. Like that, and then I'm going to add in my quarter of a cup of melted butter, which has begun to solidify a little bit, but that's fine. And I'm going to mix that together until it forms a paste, and then once all the dry ingredients are coated and we have the paste, I'm going to set that to one side, and that's just about good enough. That's pasty, but it's in clumps, which is what I'm going to need later, so I'll set that to one side. And the ingredients for the muffins themselves are 250 grams of plain flour, that's 1 2/3 cups, again based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup. I have 100 grams of caster sugar and 100 grams of soft light brown sugar in the same bowl, because they're going to be mixed together. That's half a cup of each. I have 113 grams of melted unsalted butter, that's 1 stick of butter, and that's cooled down as well. I have about 125 milliliters, half a cup of buttermilk. Now if you don't have buttermilk, you could use 125 milliliters of milk and put a teaspoon of lemon juice or vinegar, white vinegar in, stir it around and leave it for 10 minutes, and that would be the same. Or you could use sour cream or natural yogurt if you wanted to. I have 2 medium eggs, which would be large in the USA. I have 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, a quarter of a teaspoon of ground ginger, and half a teaspoon of salt. And so the first thing I'm going to do is to mix our wet ingredients together. And oh, sorry, I forgot, I have 3 medium bananas, which I have simply, and they're ripe bananas, I've simply mashed those together. That works out at a weight out of the skin of just over 300 grams, which would be 10.5 ounces. Maybe 2 large bananas would do just as well. So I'm going to put those bananas into my bowl, and I'm going to add into them all the wet ingredients That's the buttermilk, the melted butter. Now you could use oil if you didn't want to use butter, and you could use just softened butter if you didn't want to melt it. It's whichever is easiest. And the eggs. And I'm going to whisk those together until they're all combined nicely. So with that mixed in, what I'm going to do is take the dry ingredients, the baking powder, baking soda, ginger and salt, and the 2 types of sugar, and I'm going to mix those together into the flour. And then I'm simply going to put that dry mixture into the wet, and I'm going to fold it until it's combined, but without over mixing it. And that's good. So then I take the muffin tin, and I'm simply going to divide this mixture into the muffin cases fairly evenly, maybe a little bit less in this one case as it's smaller. And with the mixture divided into the cases, I'm then going to take my streusel or crumble topping, and I'm going to just break it up a little bit and sprinkle it over the top of each one. And with that divided fairly evenly across the muffins, I'm going to put the muffins into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for about 30 minutes until I can test them with the skewer and it comes out clean. At that point I'll take them out of the oven and allow them to cool for 12 minutes or so, and then I'll transfer them from the tin onto a wire rack to cool completely, and I'll come back and show you the results. I baked the banana streusel muffins for 30 minutes, then I took them out of the oven and left them in the tin for a good 15 minutes really. Then I took them out and put them onto the wire rack and let them cool down. Now you can eat them warm, but I like them cold. And so this is what they look like, and I've taken one out of the paper so you can see it just a little bit better there. Very nicely baked. The skewer test came out clean. So I'll have a taste of this one. Has that lovely banana flavour with just the very slightest hint of spice from the ginger, and that crunchy streusel topping just makes all the difference with the texture. So you have the soft and spongy muffin texture, and then the crisp crunchiness of the streusel topping. So these are very good indeed, perfect for those who like a muffin at breakfast time. Personally, I would have one in the afternoon with my cup of tea. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for this recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, Happy baking.